Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Parks and Natural Areas Roundtable. And thank you for joining us on Zoom. It's a new format for us. So before we get started, I want to go over a few little housekeeping tips. Just typical online meeting tips and etiquette. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. You can turn off your camera when you're not presenting to help with the bandwidth for the people who are presenting. If you don't know how, on your computer screen, the mute and unmute yourself as well as turning on and off your video is in the lower left-hand corner. There's also a chat button on the bottom toolbar. If you want to send individuals or everyone a chat, you can do that. That's what it looked like on your computer. On your phone or your tablet, it looks similar to this, just the mute and unmute at your start and stop video button are on the lower left-hand corner. And then the chat you can access by clicking the three little dots on the lower right-hand corner, and that'll open a menu, and that includes the chat and a couple of other things. So now I want to go over the welcome and introduction. So welcome. I want to let you know that the meeting is being recorded, and I heard from Glenn this morning, and unfortunately his wife is in the hospital, so he won't be able to join us today. So let's keep him in our thoughts and prayers. And before we get started on our presentation, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Wendy Almanzon, who is going to go down the list and call on each person who can unmute themselves and say who they are and where they're from. And this is going to be not only an introduction, but it's also going to be a quick audio check. And I don't know if her list is alphabetical, mine's not, so just wait and hear your name and then come off of mute and say hi. Wendy?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yes, my first on the list is going to be Tammy. Tammy de los Santos, can you unmute?
It's okay, we can keep going.
I can see you, but I can't hear you. Let's go with Bud.
This is Bud Gessel from Timber Lane Utility District.
Thank you. We have someone on the phone with the last four digits, 8243.
Yeah, this is Jim Robertson with the Cypress Creek Flood Control Coalition and the Cypress Creek Greenway Project.
You said Jim Robertson?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have last four digits phone number ending 3586.
Hello, this is Adrian Hernandez with Keep Pearland Beautiful and the City of Pearland.
Thank you, Adrian. We also have last four digits 6604. I'm sorry, 6606.
That would be Jim Messer, Timberlane Utility District.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Jennifer Boley. I'm from Nature and Eclectic Outdoors, or NEO, and the Healthy Outdoor Communities Initiative.
Thank you. Mr. Allen?
Hey, Alan Steinberg with the West Houston Association.
Thank you, sir. We have Ashley Johnston.
Hi, this is Ashley Johnson. I'm with Clark Condon Associates, or a landscape architecture firm.
Thank you. Catherine Flowers.
Hi, this is Catherine Flowers. I am representing District B with the City of Houston.
Thank you. Deshara Goss.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dishara Goss. I am the Community Initiatives Manager for Fifth Ward Community Redevelopment Corporation.
Thank you. Frank Weary?
Yeah, this is Frank Weary. I'm with Exploration Green Conservancy in Clear Lake City.
Thank you, sir. Is it Jerry Gonzalez or Gary Gonzalez?
Looks like Jerry doesn't have audio. I'm with the Angleton Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you. Gina Magana?
Hi, I'm Gina Magana. I am the Director of Programs and Special Projects with the Greater Northside Management District.
Thank you. Jennifer Bowley? I'm sorry, I think I already called you. Is it Kaylin Green? Okay, we'll move on to Kyle Wolf.
Hi there, this is Kyle Wolf with Herman Park Conservancy.
Thank you. Lisa Marshall.
Hi, this is Lisa Marshall with the Galveston Bay Estuary Program.
Thank you. Mac Martin.
Hi, this is Mac Martin with the Texas A&M Forest Service Houston office.
Thank you. Paulette Wagner.
Good afternoon to everyone. Paulette Wagner with the Southeast Houston Transformation Alliance.
Thank you. Rebecca Lumen.
Good afternoon, all. This is Becky Lumen. I'm with Healthy Tweaks, and I'm also representing the city's Connecting Children to Nature, in particular the Resilient School community. I'm really excited to hear from y'all today.
Thank you. Robert Kozar.
It's Bob Kozar, representing the cities of El Lago and Taylor Lake Village in Southeast Harris County.
Thank you. Rose Esteves.
Hello, this is Rose Esteves with the Houston Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you. Stuart Crouch.
Hello, Stuart Crouch, Park Superintendent, City of Angleton.
Thank you. Tim May.
Good afternoon, Tim May, landscape architect, engineers from Half Associates.
Thank you. Tracy Timpanaro.
Tracy Timpanaro from Rick Rice Park in Katy, Texas.
Thank you. Jennifer Bowley.
You've already caught me a few times.
Okay, I thought so. I think you pop up on the list a few times. Sorry about that. Jim Robertson.
Got him as well. Got me earlier with my phone number.
Okay, then we also have Cheryl Murgo.
Good afternoon. This is Cheryl with H-GAC.
Thank you. Amy Schultz.
Good afternoon. This is Amy Schultz with Harris County Public Health, the Built Environment Unit.
Thank you. And in our text, Kaylin Green was with Angleton Parks and Recreation. And is there anybody I missed?
Yeah, we missed Michael Burkhoop and Skip Reeder.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mike Burkhoop, Houston One Boys, Friends of Keegan's Bayou and Trail, and Director of Neighborhoods to Trails Southwest.
Sylvester Skip Reeder, Neighborhood Trail Southwest, Houston One Voice, and Parallel Management District.
Thank you. Was there anybody else I missed?
Tammy De Los Santos is with the city of Pasadena. She said hi in the chat.
Okay.
So I think that's everybody. If we missed somebody, I do apologize, but keep ready with your mute and unmute because we're going to have a chance to do this again toward the end for the roundtable. I wanted to show everybody the agenda. We're going to have a presentation from Davion Edwards with Keep Angleton Beautiful and Angleton Parks and Rec. Then we're going to have a discussion about the Parks and Natural Areas Awards for HGAC. And then we're going to have our round robin discussion. And then we'll talk about our next meeting. And it says possible field trip, but that's just not true. But we'll get to that in a little while. But without further ado, I want to welcome our presenter today, and that is Mr. Davion Edwards from Keep Angleton Beautiful and with the City of Angleton Parks and Recreation. Mr. Edwards?
Hello, everyone. This is Davion Edwards from the City of Angleton. I'm currently trying to share my screen right now. Just bear with me. Okay. Okay, so today.
While he's loading the presentation, can I ask a question really quickly? Is the connection choppy for anyone else, or is it just me? Just wondering.
It might just be you, which is unfortunate. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll try to reconnect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Actually, mine is really choppy too.
Mine's perfect. So at least one of us has good connection.
Mine's good as well.
I'm good.
Okay.
Mine's good.
Mine's good.
All right, so my name is Davion Edwards from the City of Angleton. I am currently 19 years old. I represent the Angleton Parks and Recreation Department and Keep Angleton Beautiful. I've been with the City of Angleton with the City of Angleton for almost 3 years now. We're going to talk about researching and applying for funding and all the details that you need to back and all the details that you need to support when you're going to look for funding. So knowing what it is needed before you request it, knowing what type of funding and being transparent will help you in the long run. So when you're putting together a packet or information or a program checklist and you're looking for funding in different areas, you need to be completely transparent with whoever you're going to get the funding from, because that's how you build the relationships and the network to get you farther and be able to use them to get more funding in the future. So we'll begin with this first slide, which has project, program, and operation. So what are you trying to fund? So if it's a program, there's certain things that you need to look for. Projects have certain things, and when you're when you're looking for funding for an operation, there are certain ways that you need to go about that as well. And when you're looking for those things, you need to know who is it benefiting, who benefits. So who receives the money, which would most likely be your organization. So for me, it would be Keep Angleton Beautiful or the City of Angleton. Where's the money going? Or alternatively, who is being served? So most of my programs and the funding that I look for goes to our city and our community. When you need it, so you need to have a basic outline and timeline of when you need the money, how much you're going to need, and if there's a grant, what the timeline is for that, or those types of things. And also, if you have any questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question as I'm going through the presentation. That way I can answer it as they come up and they're fresh so we can discuss them. What type of funds? So if it's a grant, let me see if I can get rid of it. So if it's a grant, a sponsorship, a budget, or a matching funds, and you need to know all the things that go with grant, sponsorship, if there's matching funds, so if you need to have a certain amount of money put to the side to even receive those funds. Project, program, and operations. So when researching funding, you need to identify the needs for programs. So in our community, we look for different age groups, different varieties of activities, whether it's beautification, recycling, sports, things of that nature. Companies will award funds based on local needs. So if your community is lacking in some field, whether it's park development or beautification on your right-of-ways and highways, and that's how you basically build the foundation when you're looking for funding. Look for places that run the same program on bigger scales. So when you're building a program, there's a lot of different organizations that fund lead-ups. So as an example, the junior NBA is funded by the NBA. And so those kids that go through that program lead up into the NBA eventually. Look for groups that are experts in programs offered. So the experts in the program will have the contacts, will have the companies who offer different grants, or they'll sponsor you, and even then themselves, the experts will help you find or offer their expertise in the program or project that's being presented. Gaining approval from boards, have a planned project budget. So when you're budgeting for in the future, you need to know the cost of materials, installation, the labor, the timeline, the different needs that whatever you're planning the budget for, what will be needed. The amount of revenue that may come from the project, or if there isn't any revenue, who will be served. So we have, if your program or project will build its own revenue in the future, that's what you need to include into your project budget. And if not, if there's no revenue coming in, there's also who will be served. So things that I do with park development and recycling, there's not really specific people, or we're not receiving funding based on that project, but it offers different things to where you don't need a revenue income, if that makes sense. Having a complete project projection plan, which answers the questions of the timeline, basically identifying the needs of company, identify the needs for the program, the project, or those things. This is a little template that we have for the City of Angleton. It's our program checklist, and this helps us find all the details, whether it's the supplies needed, how we enter it, how we market it, and it gives us a general outline of how we look for the funding, and it builds as a basis so everyone in our department can help as well. So projects, when looking for money for your project, you need to plan for the future. So the more you know about your project, the easier it is for you to bring it to associations, government systems, corporations, etc. So when you bring those programs or projects to them and say, hey, we're looking for funding, and you need to saying, hey, we're looking for funding, they're going to ask you certain questions, as if where are these vendors located, if you're looking at vendors, if there's a grant that you're looking for, what are the requirements for the grant, are they matching grants, and things of that sort. Once all the details are laid out, the research can be done based on either your program checklist or all the information that you gathered to research program or projects. And it's basically the same for programs when you're researching funding. Once you define the vision and the program objectives, finding funding that correlates with the outline and with who you're serving, based on if there's revenue coming in, if there's no revenue coming in, the location of the project or program, and things like that. Operations, when you're presenting a budget, the budgeting process is extremely tedious, and the more details that you have in your budget and your budget planning, the easier it is for you to find justification to get that funding when you're bringing it to your boards to be approved, or your councils and things like that. Also, stop me if I'm going too fast. I can see in the chat if you need me to go slower. Grants, all grants are different, and when you're looking at grants and you find a grant, you need to be sure to read and completely understand everything that the grant entails. Whether it's you need to have a report due at the end, you need to take pictures, you need to present it to another board, and you also need to be prepared to spend money upfront from your own budget and track all of those purchases and keep them in a spreadsheet or a list, however you do it, to be reimbursed back when all the grant requirements are met. When you're meeting grant requirements, the project doesn't have to be completely over, but when you're applying for the grants, you need to know the timeline based on the grant requirements, if that makes sense. So when you're researching for grants, the most reputable sources usually end with .gov, .edu, .org, .us. Those are your government entities, those are your colleges, those are your bigger organizations and companies that give opportunities for funding. And when you're looking for grants, you need to think like a grant writer. So when you're building your justification to different fundings and boards, you need to appeal to the stakeholders, the boards and the committees. You need to address the problem that you want to be solved. That goes back to knowing the local needs and what your community is looking for, and you need to describe the impact of the problem, excuse me, that's a typo, that you will be resolving or solving in your project or program. So when I look for a grant, say for recycling, I go to a recycling vendor, I look at a location in our city that needs recycling. I'm currently working on a park and a park map for recycling in all of our parks. And so when I look for grants in recycling, I start off with the companies. I use Waste Connections, which is a local waste treatment here in Angleton. I work with them and I work with my director, and we sit and we develop a map, which then goes to another company who offers the funding to put all of the materials and the labor into the park. That way we can get that set up, if that makes sense. Sponsorships. So there's certain types of funding that you can get. There's grants, there's sponsorships, and then there's just budgeting funds. So when you're looking for sponsorships, it's a lot easier to obtain and look for funding when you have all of your events, programs, projects laid out in, say, a packet or a catalog or what have you be it. This is if I can open it up, this is what we have for the City of Angleton. I am currently developing a partnership catalog, which has all of our events, programs, all of our activities, and it also gives certain incentives to make sponsoring our different programs a lot more enjoyable, or it gives them an incentive to help us out. When you're building pamphlets or catalogs like this, it's best to include everyone in your organization because they may have different looks, different perspectives. They may work with different age groups or different areas of the department, whether it's aquatics, family, fitness, things of that sort. And having all of those things laid out makes the sponsors and the different companies feel like they have the opportunity to pick and choose what they want to fund, and it gives them that power of, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to help sponsor, say, the Green Thumb Gardening Workshop and things like that. Okay. Budget planning. So the more work you put up front, the better the outcome for budget. So budgeting for most people or most companies or that I know of start extremely early. We start in June and we start planning for the next year, even though we've already tracked all of the purchases that we have made for this year. And we keep them in a spreadsheet built like this. So we have each line item that we have from last year, how much we spent and what we project to spend, and then what we'll need or what we're requesting for next year. And we have this broken down for every interdepartmental section and every line item, down to how much every single purchase costs. That way, when we bring it to boards and our council or whoever we're bringing it to provide the funding, they can see why we need that much money or things like that. So if I were to say, oh, we need a new tractor for next year, and someone on the council or commission says, well, why do you need this tractor? Last year, we've had this certain tractor for X amount of years. It'll probably last maybe another year or two. We spent this much money maintaining the tractor. The tractor helped us service X, Y, and Z locations, and we use it on a daily and weekly basis. And if we don't replace this tractor in the upcoming year, then X, Y, and Z will not happen. And then that's how you give the justification for funding. It's when you're researching funding, it's relatively easy. It's just you have to put the backing and the planning behind it. That's really all the information that I have to give. I wanted to open this up for questions to see if I can help point anyone in the right direction, because looking and researching for funding is an extremely broad topic. And so if I can have some questions, I can help everyone out. And that's all I really have for you guys today.
So if anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself, you can raise your hand, you can ask it in the chat, and I'll get started. When you get your grant, what is the funding, what is your follow-up? How do you make sure that you're in good standing with that organization to maybe get another funding down the road?
So when So just to make sure you're asking, I'm understanding your question right. So we obtain funding from one entity and we want to make it a reoccurring thing, correct?
Correct.
Is that what, okay. So I have one example of what I've done right now in the past. We have our butterfly garden and it's partnership with the Plant America project. And so we develop different butterfly gardens throughout our city until it becomes a way station for butterflies. And when we reached out to them the first time to get this funding, they were looking for pictures, locations. They wanted us to track the funding and being able to have it as an educational standpoint. So when you meet all of the grant requirements, most grants are annual things. So once you build those relationships and meet all of those requirements, then you should be able to ask for or reapply for that grant. And you can always ask them, hey, is this an annual grant? Is this a grant that comes out every 3 to 5 years? And they should be able to give you more information on that. But you can't be afraid to ask those questions. Most people don't receive the grants because they don't ask the questions. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Edwards?
Have you made repeat applications to any granting organizations?
Yes, sir. So we have a grant with, what are they called? Houston Trees. So every year we have a big tree giveaway, a citywide tree giveaway and tree planting. And so they donate, I think 100 to 200 trees and funding every year for that. And so every time we reapply, we go to the same person, we send the exact same application, well, not the exact same application, the exact same format, and we use that to lead into the next year. And we always, when we're applying for that grant, we talk about, what we're planning on doing for the next year, even though they don't really need the information for where we're planting the trees, how many people show up at our event. But it's good to have that information so they know what they're giving their money to, what they're giving their products to. So you make yourself more, so you build that connection to build on in the future.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for me?
Or maybe someone might have a tip or trick they want to add to this to share with your friends here. Well, okay, I don't see any, so I think we can go ahead and move on with the agenda. Let me share my screen now. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. We really appreciate your time and your information today. And I'm sure that everyone learned something and that we're going to be able to put something into place based on what we learned today.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. And also, I will send out my PowerPoint and the templates that I use as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll make those available online and in the follow-up to everyone who's here today. So next up, we're going to talk about our Parks and Natural Areas Awards. Same thing goes. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself or raise your hand and Wendy will help call on you. First, the Parks and Natural Areas Awards and recognition. The awards are open right now. This is our 15th annual awards event. We're accepting applications throughout the whole month of September. So if you want to go to www.h-gac.com/parks, you can access the application and you can forward that to all your friends. And I really hope that everybody here today who has a park or who has access to someone who has a park or natural areas will take a look at the application and consider applying if you have any eligible projects. After we get all the applications in at the end of September, we're going to have judging in early October. When we get the scores back from all the judges, we will review them and make recommendations of who are the top scorers and who should be the winners. We will forward it to everyone in the roundtable to review over email. Then H-GAC's Natural Resources Advisory Committee will bring those recommendations to them in early November, and they will accept the awards. We'll notify the winners in mid-December or early January, and then we're going to have a recognition event, what that looks like to be determined, in January or early February. Last month, well, not last month, back in March, I asked if we could have some volunteers for judges. We had 2 right there on the spot volunteers, Eric Heppen with Harris County Precinct 3 and Tracy Tipinaro from 2T Communications. We also have a few more judges who have volunteered or graciously said yes when I asked. That's Kimberly Judge with the City of Dayton. She'll be a wild card judge. Sylvester Skip Reader. He was a tentative yes, so I'm hoping I'm not putting him totally on the spot right now by putting his name on the slide, so I hope that's an actual yes. He's with Houston One Voice, a nonprofit. Christian Rhines is with the Galveston Bay Estuary Program. She is a water quality expert. Lily Wells is with Texas Southern University. She represents academic. And Rebecca Wright is with Keep Santa Fe Beautiful, and that's also a wild card judge. And now it's time for the roundtable. That is going to look a lot like the introductions did. We have actually quite a bit of time, so if you have 1 or 2 minutes of what you've got going on, or if you have questions for each other, Wendy's just going to go down the list again and call on people. Again, it's probably not going to be alphabetical, it's whatever the list looks like for her. Also, if you email me what you've got going on, if you want everybody to know about it, I'm happy to include that in the follow-up, which will probably go out tomorrow. So I would like to welcome everyone to take yourself off mute when Wendy calls on you and call back to, I want to call it the podium, but there is no such thing at my house. So I want to call Wendy back to the
Okay, I'm gonna start off with, I believe it's Adrian, because it says keep Pearland beautiful. So Adrian Hernandez.
Yeah, you are correct. Thank you. I guess I don't really have too much to share. Something that I kind of been working on the city side of things, my role as city council member, though I'm really excited about the effort that the City of Pearland Parks Department is making in helping to do natural area designation and trying to build some policy around that. I think we had, it's been an area, I think, of neglect, not just for our city, but I think it looks like a lot of cities are dealing with this issue and trying to identify those few remaining parcels in our developed cities that can be preserved and put to good use, for future generations as well. So our Parks Department is in the process of exploring ways to preserve these areas, identifying parcels currently owned by the city, describing impact benefit scenarios, and then presenting those parcels for consideration to the council. I think it's something I'm really excited about, and I think integrating these green spaces and natural areas into our communities is going to be of great benefit to the quality of life for our residents. So, if anyone else has anything like that they're doing in their city currently, or that they're exploring wanting to do, I would love to connect with you to bring the dialogue, to more of a regional effort instead of us trying to go at it alone. We always make a greater impact, and I think do better work whenever we work together. So that's all I wanted to share today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Adrian. Mr. Jim Robertson.
Yes, this is Jim Robertson with the Cypress Creek Greenway Project, a committee within the Cypress Creek Flood Control Coalition. One thing I might highlight today, as part of the bond issue that was passed after Harvey, there was funding for additional acreage to be purchased along Cypress Creek corridor for floodplain preservation. And there was also a study that was initiated, an update of an earlier study that was done several years ago relative to flooding along the Cypress Creek corridor. And one of the things that has come out of that study is the need for significant additional detention along the Cypress Creek corridor. And so there is work underway. There has been acreage acquisition taking place. And now they're starting to look for developing additional detention on some of that acreage. And something that our group is advocating, that as we start to look at these areas for detention, which we really need, we think it's really important that we look at a balanced approach to the areas where this detention, the tracks where the detention is going to be placed. We're trying to balance, obviously, the need for detention along with our needs for preservation of some of the forested corridor for wildlife habitat and refuge, and then also with public use and access. Sometimes I think we really don't step back and look at the three of these items together to see how the placement of the detention close to the creek, away from the creek, the continuity of the wooded corridor along Cypress Creek for habitat and wildlife. And then also, when you're identifying areas for public access, there are areas where we may not want public access. We don't want trails, that we do have tracks that are preserved for wildlife and habitat. So that is something that's underway, and it's something that we're currently looking at. That's all I was going to share.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Ms. Jennifer Bowley?
Yeah, so with Nature and Eclectic Outdoors, we still have our Healthy Outdoor Communities initiative going on, which is it's our newest initiative. And the broad goal of this initiative is to utilize parks and natural spaces as tools to fight health disparities in underserved communities. We received a large grant from the Hogg Foundation for Mental Health, specifically to serve Acres Homes in 3rd Ward. And we're still doing activities throughout the city. Those are just the 2 priority neighborhoods that this grant is being used for. We're about to launch into our formal assessment phase, where we're having small focus groups and interviews with community members to verify the data that is in their existing assessments. One thing we realized in some of these situations, it's generally the top, there's a group of 10 to 15 community leaders that have made all the decisions and have put in most of the input into all of these different assessments for the past several years. So we want to make sure that those community leaders are actually representing the broader community when they put in their data into those assessments. So that's what we're at right now. And then starting at the beginning of the year, we're going to launch full throttle into our programming phase, which is where we're taking the information that the community members are giving us and either promoting programs that already exist in the community or helping communities develop new programs that better fit their needs and priorities now. So we'll be doing that at the beginning of the year. In the meantime, we're just having fun, getting down and dirty with our community members.
Thank you. Next up is going to be Sylvester Skip Reader.
Yes, Neighborhood Trail Southwest is an advocacy organization that has a responsibility and mission to connect communities through linear parks. And our goal is within Southwest Houston to connect each one of our communities They're faith-based part of the communities. They're commercial part of the communities, all connected by trails, leading those trails also to the spine that goes to downtown Houston. And we're calling our trails linear parks because they truly are trails. They truly are parks in the sense that you know, we're making sure that that the bicyclists and the walkers on those trails are able to take advantage of the fauna and the flora of those trails. We're fortunate that the Harris County Flood Corporation has helped us pave those trails that are all along the bayous, and we're identifying new trails that that will either be paved or will not be, or will be sand or gravel trails. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reader. Next up, Mr. Alan Steinberg.
Hey, so from Alan Steinberg from West Houston Association. I'm kind of new to this whole group, so I'm really just listening and learning, but we have a Parks, Recreation, Open Spaces kind of subcommittee within our organization, and so I'm hoping to learn and hear good things to bring back to that group.
Wonderful, thank you. Ms. Becky Martinez.
I just wanted to kind of let folks know we are starting to get back outside with members. We've been outside this whole time doing things, but not with other people. And so we're slowly starting to do that this fall with some small group bird walks and different things. I mean, I'm talking like groups of 10 and under. But one thing that I wanted to let folks know about that we do every week and that we're really, I don't know, we're really liking it is we've been doing a Facebook Live Ask an Ecologist on Thursdays at 3. It's been a great way to get folks outdoors even when we can't be with them, and we answer all kinds of ecology questions. I mean, it's ranged from, you know, how can I make my garden more hummingbird friendly to what do you think what do you think we might be planting on Mars? The questions are all over the place. They're submitted to us by children and, you know, children at heart. And so I welcome everyone in the group to join us and submit their own questions. It's Thursday, 3 p.m., and it's on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bud Giselle, or Gessel, sorry if I said it wrong.
Yeah, this is Bud Gessel with Timber Lane Utility District, and we've just completed a new community center, nature center, constable center in our community, and we didn't have any kind of dedication due to the COVID thing, but the center's open. It seats probably about 300 people. And the lobby is like a nature center kind of thing. And it was partially funded through Texas Parks and Wildlife Indoor Recreation Grant. And that's about it.
Wonderful, thank you. Catherine Flowers. Okay, we can move on to David McLean.
Hi, thank you. My name's David McLean. I am the president and founder of MICMAC CX. We help municipalities and community-facing nonprofits understand the cost benefits in accordance with People, Profit, Planet context of those projects that they are doing, so that we can help them look at different alternatives, determine what the actual monetary impact is with respect to carbon sequestration, biodiversity, water quality, air quality, those type of things. So we are working across the nation, but my firm is headquartered here in Houston, and I'm currently working with a number of organizations. So I'm just listening in to see what you folks are up to. Thank you.
Thank you. Deshara Goss.
Hi everyone, this is Deshara Goss, the Community Initiatives Manager for Fifth Ward Community Redevelopment Corporation. I have nothing to share. I'm actually just here to listen and learn, so that way we may look at more programs for Parks and Recs in the Fifth Ward area. There's a couple of parks that I've been looking at, such as Finnegan Park, to do some more programming over there as we continue developing the new culture and art district, looking for ways of incorporating art with parks, working with the Buffalo Bayou Partnership on expanding access to Buffalo Bayou and Jaffe Creek. So I'm just here to learn. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Eric Heppen.
Eric, I'm with Harris County Precinct 3. Recently, about a week and a half or so, we opened our most recent park off of Grant Road. It is currently called the Harris County Park. There's no official name for it. We used to lovingly call it Grantwood, but we're still trying to figure out the official name since it opened. So that's been a positive thing for us recently. I would say that we are in the process of developing one of the next phases to our John Paul Landing Park. And if there's anyone that has some good experience in developing like some artificial wetlands or some marsh territory, I'd really like to hear from you.
Thank you. Frank Weary.
Yes, Frank Weary, Exploration Green Conservancy. For those of the group that aren't familiar with us, we are a 200-acre stormwater detention and wildlife preserve in the center of Clear Lake. The lead partner there is Clear Lake City Water Authority. They're doing the heavy lifting, if you will, of doing the digging. And we are, the Conservancy, providing the funding and much of the planning on things like 6 miles of hike and bike trail, 5,000 native trees, on and on and on. Some of the things we've got going on this weekend, Dr. Lena Dibb out of Rice University is using funding from the Houston Arts Alliance to erect an artwork, which is an audio artwork that will project the sounds of nature and give you a slight forecast for the following day on weather, depending upon what the weather is going to be, modifies the nature of the audio. Other things we've got going on, a couple of weeks ago, we got word that we had won the Texas Parks and Wildlife Parks grant for $750,000. That provides the last major piece of funding for our trails. Our project is divided into 5 different sections, and that is the funding for phase 5 of that project. Phases 1 and 2 are now fully opened. We delayed planting of our wetlands plants. And Eric, if you want some information, I'll be glad to share with you. Just send me a chat message and I'll give you information on a couple of different wetlands groups. Our wetlands have done very well in phase 1. We started planting the wetlands in phase 2, and that will be continuing on throughout the rest of the summer. Phase 3A is nearing completion. We expect full completion in October, and then we'll start tree planting there and continue tree planting in phase 2 in the late fall through early spring. Phase 4 excavation has started, making rapid progress. Each section, by the way, holds roughly 100 million gallons worth of stormwater as it goes from nominal level to max. Phase 3B, which is the northern half of phase 3, we are nearing completion of the agreement with Harris County Flood Control District. And phase 5, we've got to get a pipeline lowered. And, very close to finalizing the agreement with the pipeline owner to lower the pipeline through that area. We continue working with Texan by Nature. They have been a godsend to us relative to allowing us to leverage our resources and bring additional resources to the fore. If anyone has not seen the Texan by Nature website and their program, I encourage you to go in and look at it. The organization was founded by a lady by the name of Laura Bush that you might have heard about. So that's where we are, making good progress and feeling good about where we are and where we're headed.
Great. Thank you very much. Next would be Mr. Is it Jerry Gonzalez or Gary Gonzalez?
Hi, I'm Jerry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm the recreation superintendent for the city of Angleton Parks and Rec Department. So for our more kind of outdoor activities that we have going on, I wouldn't really say outdoor, but we have a fall camp out planned for our community. So as a way to social distance, but offer some sort of opportunity to get folks out and enjoying the outdoors. We're going to do camp out. They can reserve a spot. We'll provide a dinner that's packaged. We're going to do a pumpkin carving event, so where they can kind of make their own little mascot, put out there, and really get people outside. We're also going to host an outdoor movie along with it with s'mores. So we're excited about that. We also have partnered with, our staff has partnered with Brazoria County, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension to offer an indoor gardening series through the month of October. That'll be streaming via Facebook Live at 11 a.m. I believe it's on Tuesdays. I might be wrong, but it'll cover topics such as like herbs and spices, indoor gardening, terrariums, something we're really excited about, hoping that it can engage seniors, especially since seniors, we can't really get them out into our facility too much. So we're really hoping that'll engage them. That's what we have going on in our department in Angleton. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Kaylin Green, I know you're having audio issues earlier. Do you want to try again? Okay, we'll move on to Kyle Wolf.
Hi there, this is Kyle Wolf with Herman Park Conservancy. I just wanted to share that we are hosting our 17th annual Run in the Park this year virtually, and it'll be going on from September 26th through October the 3rd. And folks are welcome to either run, walk, or join in on the 5K or 10K with it. And more information is on our website at hermanpark.org.
Great, thank you. Michael Berku. Apologize if I said your last name wrong.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody. Skip, it related quite a bit what we're doing in the neighborhoods of Trail Southwest, but the Friends of Keegan's Bayou, I got good news. We're starting to walk the trails. We've been doing it weekly. What we're doing, by the way, with social distancing, and we've been looking at the trail, looking at the maintenance, make sure everything is up to snuff. We're looking at increasing the signage on it, and get people to use it more. What we find with the trail, it is pretty heavily used with bikers, and not so much with walkers, but they're coming all the way from the medical center all the way up to Southwest Freeway. So we're really excited about it. We're looking to add trails, probably of the gravel type of to start with, until we can, eventually get into the asphalt one. So, and we're increasing the volunteerism. So we're looking for this to be a long-term, sustainable project that'll last 50 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paulette Wagner.
Let's see. Unmute.
Oh, you just muted yourself again.
Unmute.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I do apologize. As I said before, I'm with the Southeast Houston Transformation Alliance, which serves the OST South Houston, in OST South Union community in Houston. We are engaged in a project, we're calling it the Parks Improvement Project, but it's a partnership with the Houston Parks Board, Texas Southern University, of course, Southeast Houston Transformation Alliance, the Go Neighborhood program. We're in the first phase. Let me back up. We have a variety of parks within our boundaries, which at different sizes, from a regional park to parks that have been developed on school grounds. So what we've been concerned about is developing a plan of action for connecting these parks. In fact, one of the parks is owned by a local church, but makes it available to community residents for basketball. So while we have these 8 to 10 recreational facilities located throughout OST South Union, what we'd like to do is to see more connectivity among them. And so we applied for and received funding from Local Initiative Support Corporation. We're in the first phase, which is assessing the parks and also doing outreach to community residents. And that's why I wanted to participate in this meeting, to find out what others are doing, because we're just at the beginning, holding community meetings, stockholders meetings, not stockholders, I'm sorry. But anyway, holding meetings through Zoom and trying to assess, not only assess what people would like to see in the parks, what they think of their individual parks, but what they're willing to commit to this effort. And I just created a really big faux pas, because I forgot to mention that one of the major partners in this effort is the City of Houston's Park and Recreation Department. So please forgive that omission. But as I said, we're just at the beginning and wanted to hear what others are doing. So hope that answers that question.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Rebecca or Becky Lumen.
Thank you very much, and I'm actually very glad I went after Paulette Wagner. My name is Becky Lumen, and my company is Healthy Tweaks. What's healthy for you is healthy for our earth. I help businesses, schools, and communities reduce their footprint on the earth. But I'm also representing the City of Houston's Mayor's Office of Education initiative, the city's Connecting Children to Nature. The purpose of this is to provide equitable access to nature for all children. You know, we all know that nature provides, you know, health, mental and physical health benefits. Using outdoor learning environments at school gives our children basically significantly more, gives a leveling that that books and computers may not. Our kids need to get outside and actually run and play and figure things out on their own. And so, Adrian, I know you're probably already working with Kelly Andrasic. She's part of the city's Connecting Children to Nature team through H-GAC. She's really documenting nature and trying to get some good policy on protecting nature in Houston and defining nature. The three strategies for the city's Connecting Children to Nature are the Hiring Houston Youth, Green Career Exposure Strategy, Park Activation, and Nature Smart in Libraries. This is the connection of nature spaces to libraries, and bringing libraries sometimes to a nature space, as Houston has done to some of their community centers, or actually we're really trying to find some really good nature spaces to put at a library. So when you go to the library, you can read a book and go outside and actually explore. The strategy that I'm most familiar with, I'm involved in, is the Resilient School Communities. Rather than calling it a green schoolyard, yes, we love our gardens, our gardens and our rainwater harvesting, and yes, they are amazing for our kids' mental and physical health. We feel like the schoolyard should benefit the entire community. They can be designed so that the communities can be involved, like spark parks. They can be used for flood control. They can be designed specifically for stormwater quality and air quality improvement, heat island effect mitigation, carbon sequestration, kind of all the things that David McLean said that his company tracks. So we do have a meeting later this week. It's our stakeholder meeting. Paulette, I hope you can come. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat box. Brittany Johnson is the coordinator at CCC in Houston, and if you email her, she can send you the invitation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next will be Rose Estevez. Okay. Tammy added her information in the chat for everyone to see. They're going to have their first outdoor movie in the park, a drive-in bingo with the seniors, and a BioBlast citywide competition. Tim May.
Good afternoon. Tim May here with Half Associates. As a consultant, we've been busy in all four of the precincts in Harris County, and we're very fortunate in that regard. And many of them have to deal with parks and nature and open space and that sort of thing. Most recently, we were part of the celebration of, in Precinct 2, opening Atascocita Park. That opened in the late spring, early summer. It's about a 30-acre park up in the Atascocita area, up by the airport, where we celebrated wetland preservations, embellished some natural conditions, added boardwalks for getting people out over water and seeing what a natural pond and the ecosystems that does. So that park is open. It has some traditional park amenities in the way of a playground and dog parks. And then about half of the park remained natural, where we took advantage of some of the natural conditions. Also with that park, we explored, employed, and saw the benefits of green infrastructure and how we handle water. It survived Tropical Storm Imelda before the project was complete. We were real proud of that with its 15 inches of rain in 24 hours. So that's a neat park. I encourage everyone to go out there and spend the day. It's a great day, a great day-long outing to take your kids, the whole family, everything to enjoy. We're also doing some traditional recreational facilities with the precinct. Soccer fields, those bids came in today, as a matter of fact. So with that, not so much a natural area, but what we're doing is we're with that park is we balance cut and fill in a more or less a floodplain area next to a bayou. And in so doing, we address some of that cost of hauling off or bringing in fill and balancing fill in a floodplain and that sort of thing. So we're proud of that. HAF is a multidiscipline firm where we have civil and structural engineering. We also do park policy planning that extends grant opportunities to municipalities and government entities. We also do park planning through our landscape architecture division, and we also have H&H or hydraulics and hydrology, floodplain stuff. So when we all come together internally with our disciplines, we can turn out projects like the soccer field at Blue Ridge, Tascasita Park. Jim will be interested to know that we're proceeding forward with some other projects at Mercer Botanic Garden. We have been a long time consultant with that park and proud of that with Precinct 4. We're currently doing a drainage improvement project on a new tract of land. It was adjacent to the park itself, one of those acquisitions that the precinct looked at and obtained. So again, that's a balance of cut and fill, creating detention with a park master plan that we completed about 2 years ago in mind. So our engineers took that master plan and implemented something that we can further that project planning. And we're also, as part of the Hurricane Harvey replacement fund, the GLO funds, there's a composting restroom facility on the west side of the park, down in the floodplain of Cypress Creek. That will be demolished and a new restroom will be placed in the general vicinity of the old one, but further uphill, if that's such a thing, in Houston. It does have an elevation of about 6 more feet, but we'll be putting in a traditional prefabricated restroom there that will be able to be flooded. And with simple hose downs, it'll be clean and ready to go if we get another Hurricane Harvey. So HAF is busy doing a lot of traditional landscape architecture and engineering, as well as having the opportunities to share expertise in natural and open space projects. That's all I have for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tracy Timpanaro.
Wait, sorry. Now can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So Tracy Timpanaro from Rick Rice Park in Katy, Texas. We're a small 8.5 acre park that was designed by Interstate Mud, a commercial mud district in Katy that has 175-ish customers. I've spent the greater part of my life in these last few months working on redoing the signage at the park. And if anyone has any expertise in this area, I'd appreciate it if you would let me know who you are so I can ask a couple of questions. Like everyone else, I'm sure we've experienced an incredible increase in number of users of the park during COVID. And we're up to 7 groups that use this one small pavilion to have 13 classes per week, ranging from, yoga, Zumba, boot camp, and these are just members of the community doing these classes. We hope to have a butterfly way station built by an Eagle Scout this month, and I think that's all for now.
Thank you. Jim Messer. I'm sorry, Jim Messer. Okay, that is the bottom of my list. Did I miss anyone? Nope. Okay, Andrea, I think I can hand it back to you.
All right. This is a surprise. I think that Deshara Goss added something to the chat for us. She said, for anyone looking for grant funding, the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods grant cycle is open. They're due November 3rd. So if you can get over in the chat and you're eligible for a City of Houston Neighborhoods grant, that might be something you're looking for. And I will definitely put that in the list that I send out tomorrow of follow-up. Thank you very much, Ms. Goss. So I wanted to tell you that normally at the September meeting, we would be talking about our fall fields trip, and H-GAC isn't allowing us to schedule any in-person meetings right now, and that would include a field trip. So while we had a park exploration green ready to go to visit, I can't schedule that for us or organize that. Now, if you wanted to go, I can't stop you, and I actually hope you go. That's near where I live, and I've been, and it's an awesome park. If that changes, if our rules change and we can schedule a field trip and anybody is interested in going, then we'll go ahead and schedule that. Otherwise, we'll just keep moving it forward until we are allowed to go places and be with people again. If no one else has anything.
What is the address for Exploration Green?
Frank, are you still here?
Yes, still on. Address would be 16205 Diana Lane, Houston, 77062.
Thank you.
Feel like somebody might be going out there. So anyway, without any additional questions, unless I can check the chat and see if anything else is going on there. So I don't see anything. So I am going to send out a follow-up after this meeting to give you the links to where you can get the recording from this meeting, the PowerPoint, and the templates that Mr. Edwards shared, as well as any notes that anyone sends me. If you want to share that with everybody else, you can email me, or if you've put it in the chat, I have captured that. And other than that, I am going to give you a big chunk of your day back. So thank you again for coming, and we will be in touch, and apply for a Parks Award if you haven't already. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care, Andrew.
Mr. Reader.
Yes.
I see you're still here. I know you were a tentative yes, and I just put your name on
No,
that
I'm
slide.
sorry.
Are you a yes? Are you a real yes
No,
now?
I'm sorry. I'm a yes.
Okay. I was hoping that tentative was going to turn into a yes, and I just assumed.
It did. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you, Andrea. It was a yes within a matter of minutes, but.
Oh, I kind of thought it might be, because it's not. I mean, it's fun to judge the Parks Awards, but I just wanted to make sure, and that I know we all got busy, so I didn't follow up either. So thank you.
Well, I was getting ready to call you. I had my phone in my hand to call you and tell you yes. Let me make sure you're aware of something. I did. Both Mike Burke and I forgot to mention this at the meeting today, but you know, both Mike and I belong to Houston One Voice. That you know. We've just been engaged to do a research study to convert a landfill in Rufino to a 2,400 acre feet of detention facility, and to redevelop that almost 200 acres, of which we're going to, there's a 30 acre park that's a part of that research study. Now we're in the first phase of that study, so we'll keep you informed as to how that's going. But it's really exciting taking raw land and kind of converting it to something that will save about 5,000 to 7,000 houses downstream if that detention facility actually comes to fruition.
That's fantastic. You said Rufino. Is that a Houston neighborhood? I'm not familiar.
I'm sorry. Say what?
Where is that located? You said
it's in Rufino Hills, and that is really kind of at the corner of Beltway 8 and West Belford. in Southwest Houston.
Yeah, I think everybody would be really interested in knowing more about that. Please do keep us updated as that goes along.
Yeah, we will for sure. But I'm sorry,
exciting.
It slipped my mind, and it slipped Mike's mind as well. So.
Well, there's a lot going on, and I know you guys
Yeah.
talked about a lot that you have going on, so it's easy to slip your minds. I forgot to update the slide that we're not going on a field trip. So I mean, things happen.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm glad I got it to you anyway.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna can I tell people about this in the follow up where I give the notes about what's going on?
Yes, you broke up on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I include this in this note that you just told me about the research study in the follow-up email that I sent to everyone?
Sure you can. It's we've been engaged by TERS 20 to do that research.
20?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
That's really cool. I mean, that is what you want to be doing. So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, great.
Do you have a
Thank
website?
you.
Does Houston One Voice have a website?
We're working on that right now.
Okay.
In fact, Mike Burkue is heading that up.
So he's gone. Okay.
Yes.
Well, when you get one, send it to me and I'll make sure everybody gets it too.
I will for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Wendy.
Hey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Before I go, you know that Houston One Voice is a partnership between the University of Houston School of Architecture and Resilient and Sustainable Architecture and Rice University School of Resilient and Sustainable Planning.
I do. You
you didn't know that.
You sent me that.
Yeah.
You sent me that when I asked you what you did, and
I think so.
also you copied me on an email to them. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't think you meant to do that. So I was just like, I was pretending like I didn't see that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You work with Bruce Race, and he was a judge for the Parks Awards one time. So as I recognized his name, I'm like, oh, that email is not for me.
That's right. Bruce Race, Dr. Bruce Race, and Dr. David Abraham.
Okay, I don't know him, but maybe one day.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You'll get to know him. That's for sure.
All right.
Great. Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.